the US about this threat that the Chinese pose to, whether it's the US car industry, Germany, France, Italy. Everyone's very concerned about this.
China has become the world's largest auto exporter.
China's BYD has overtaken Tesla as the world's largest seller of electric vehicles.
Is this frustrating?
Very frustrating.
Tell me about that.
I want Elon Musk to do something about this.
The world's top EV maker, BYD.
China's BYD.
BYD got Ferrari and Lamborghini in its sights.
And who's the new king? China's BYD.
The principal difference between BYD and Tesla is that it's at a lower price point.
Car tech has always been fascinating to me. The technology, the idea, and the designs, of course, so much more. And this has always been made possible through the legacy auto giants across Europe, Japan, and the USA. And they have all been leading in the automobile industry for decades, especially in the combustion engine sector. But today, the automobile landscape is changing at an astonishing speed. Now, about a decade ago, Elon Musk laughed at BYD's early stages.
There's competitors now ramping up, and as you're familiar with BYD, which is also on the West Coast, I think they're ramping up production of their electric vehicles. Warren Buffett owns 10% stake in that. Why do you laugh? BYD is trying to compete. Why do you laugh?
Have you seen their car?
I have seen their cars, yes. In fact, at the Berkshire Hathaway meeting, I saw their cars.
Yeah.
Well, they are on a different, tell me why you're laughing. You don't see them at all as a competitor?
No.
Why is that? I mean, they offer a lower price point.
I don't think they have a great product. I think their focus is, and rightly should be, on making sure they don't die in China.
Okay.
And well, we all know that didn't age well at all. And by the way, guys, Elon recently went back on his statement by saying that BYD and the entire Chinese EV industry is in fact very, very competitive. Now, Chinese EV maker BYD alongside NIO, Haval, Geely, and of course the newest Xiaomi, which just got into the EV industry, are causing global trouble. Actually, it's a whole lot of trouble, and it's not just for Tesla alone, but for the whole traditional automobile giants like Ford, Mercedes, and Toyota. This right here is the recently released BYD Seagull. The price less than $10,000 or 70,000 Chinese yuan. Then there's the BYD Dolphin with a price of 25,000 euros, followed by the BYD Seal, which is Tesla's Model 3 rival, at the price of under $28,000. Now, millennials, China currently accounts for nearly 60% of EV sales worldwide, especially after China's new EV sales increased by 82% in 2022 alone, and it has been going up exponentially since then, and that has definitely been a problem for all automobile giants worldwide. Personally, I have visited and spoken to many different EV outlets here in China, and I've had some mind-blowing experience, and in this video, I'll share with you the reality of EVs here in China. Well, according to CNN Business, BYD overtook Tesla to become the world's biggest electric car company in the final quarter of 2023, as BYD sold a record number of cars last year in the 3-month period leading to the end of December. That is according to the stock exchange filing. And again, in 2023 alone, BYD sold 73% more EVs than they did in 2022. Now guys, this is an extremely huge jump from the previous year, which clearly shows that BYD is slowly gaining the market and global recognition. Meanwhile, Tesla, on the other hand, also grew very fast, although they didn't grow as fast as BYD, and of course this generally confirms a global EV acceptance. Now, many people believe that the Chinese EVs have reached this level due to subsidies and tax breaks from the Chinese government into the EV industry. But what they fail to tell you guys is that it's not only the Chinese EV companies here in China that have been receiving subsidies from the government, but even foreign car manufacturers like Tesla and Volkswagen here in China. And of course, millennials, we can't also deny the fact that there's an abundance of engineering talent in China, and of course a flair for innovation. Then there's public support for decarbonization, and of course a huge domestic market for these EVs, because as we all know, China has more than 1.4 billion people, and most of these people are currently embracing the rise of EVs. Now, BYD, which is located in Shenzhen, China, has been the face of China's automobile industry, spearheading clean technology, and they are currently spreading their wings across many countries globally like Thailand, Malaysia, Brazil, and of course all across Europe and Africa with EVs, trucks, and other transportation systems. But then, millennials, how did BYD get to this point? What was their aim? How did BYD grow so fast to slowly become a global giant? As a matter of fact, where did BYD even come from in the first place? Well, let's go back to 1995 when the founder Wang Chuanfu started BYD, which stands for Build Your Dreams, as a rechargeable batteries company making batteries for mobile phones and other electronic products before they got into the auto business in 2003. And of course, as they grew, even Warren Buffett saw the potential in BYD and bought a 10% stock in 2008. But how did they get to this level? From producing lithium batteries to right now being a global automobile giant? Well, here's the catch, guys. With BYD's main aim being to minimize the production as much as possible, they increased their vertical integration capabilities, especially through owning one of the world's biggest battery making companies, which is used in all their vehicles. And of course, they have even been supplying batteries to many giant companies like Ford and other household names. Now, this right here is one of the reasons why BYD has been able to produce extremely cheap EVs, because they have the production advantage and capability. Now, one fact is that BYD is actually the world's second largest producer of lithium batteries, just behind CATL, which definitely increases their revenue and stability. And BYD is even planning to open more battery factories all around the world. Now, millennials, it is actually very hard for any other car manufacturer to beat BYD's business model. Why is that? That's because they own their whole supply chain. Right from the batteries they produce, to the raw materials, then to the software, and even some of their export ships, which of course goes a long way to cut their supply time, the documentation, and of course reduces supply delays. Actually, guys, up to 75% of the parts in the BYD seal, for example, are made by BYD. So now we should understand that BYD's vertical integration is one of the reasons why this company can sell their cars so cheap and of course produce more cars in a shorter time frame. Now, while Tesla has been focusing on luxury electric vehicles, BYD on its own part has been targeting a broader market, mainly focusing on taxis and electric buses, and they are able to develop affordable EV options without compromising their technology and performance. And of course, as we all know, this strategy has allowed them to capture a wider audience, from eco-conscious consumers to everyday commuters. Actually, BYD and NIO, for example, have set their eyes on becoming major players in the international markets. And right now, BYD is taking over and selling at least 5 different EV models in many countries across Europe, and has plans to launch 3 more models this year by building more factories with a target of hitting 800,000 car sales annually, of course, all across Europe. BYD was even named the official sponsor of the 2024 Euro Championship, and that was definitely a big blow to other European car giants. And putting all of this together, the European Union has then opened an investigation on the influx of cheap EVs from China into the European market, and of course for good reason.
Global markets are now flooded with cheaper Chinese electric cars, and their price is kept artificially low by huge state subsidies. This is distorting our market.
BYD cars are significantly cheaper than Tesla and other electric car brands globally, and the EU feels like this is due to the subsidies and the tax breaks given here in China to EV makers. And of course, guys, it's not just Europe alone. The United States' geopolitical tensions with China is also a huge hurdle for BYD and other Chinese EV makers, as the US has placed multiple tariffs and increased taxes on Chinese BEVs on the basis of national security.
Gina Raimondo says cars that have been made in other countries that are currently on American roads are not using Chinese technology, but if or when they are, could be sending data back to Beijing every minute of every day.
Which in other words is aimed at protecting home-based manufacturers, which is relatively understandable, as of course every government's priority is to protect their local enterprises from foreign companies. Now, millennials, the most BYD has ever achieved in the US is the supply of electric buses, but they haven't really gotten a foothold in the car market across North America. Nonetheless, BYD has possible plans to launch manufacturing in Mexico to enable them enter the North American market, just as they plan to use Hungary for the European markets. So if this happens, millennials, it will definitely be a game changer for the US EV market. Now, although most of the attention is focused on BYD and Tesla competition, I personally feel that the biggest losers from this rapid transition from the usual combustion engine vehicles to cleaner energy vehicles will be the oldest car makers in the industry, like Volkswagen, Mercedes, Renault, and even Toyota from Japan. Reason why Renault's chief Luca de Mer said on French radio RTL, it's clear that they are very competitive in the electric car value chain. I think they are a generation ahead of us and we need to catch up very, very quickly. Now guys, with China overtaking Germany and Japan last year to become the world's biggest car exporter, I feel like the OG car manufacturers have the right to be very worried. Because of course that clearly means they need to step up their game. But the real question here is this: how can other automakers catch up to BYD? What lessons can they learn from this electric vehicle powerhouse? Well, for starters, embracing innovation, investing in research and development are of course a non-negotiable BYD's commitment to cutting-edge technology and has been a very key factor to BYD's success over the years. And I feel like it's not just about the cars. BYD is also pushing advancement in battery technology and of course making electric vehicles that everyone can afford. And despite making these EVs affordable, they are also jam-packed with high-level tech. Now, one more question is this: what can other car makers do to be able to stay in the game? Well, of course, they can take a page from BYD's playbook, which means looking beyond the vehicle itself. It's about creating a seamless ecosystem to enable the production and supply facility much faster. And of course, this includes reducing prices through minimizing production costs, but not compromising the research, technology, and innovation. By the way, millennials, we should understand that BYD overtaking Tesla doesn't in any way stop Tesla's sales and profit, because of course Tesla remains a pioneer and keeps on improving. But the reason why BYD's overtaking last year is huge news is because building a brand image globally is usually a slow and steady process, and of course it's very hard. And if BYD has attained this level for the first time, it clearly means there's so much more to come, which of course is the reason why many automakers are very worried. Now, at the end of the day, millennials, I personally believe that a healthy competition in every sector of our world today is extremely important for the future of innovation and advancement. Because the truth is that the greater the competition, the more the consumer benefits, which is good for you and I. Of course, it's good for you and I because if we can get affordable EVs, everyone benefits. Reason why the competition is a good thing. From your own personal point of view, where do you see BYD heading to in the coming years? And what do you think will happen to the legacy automakers? Will these OG car makers be able to catch up, or will they just bite the dust? Well, feel free to drop your views in the comments below, and of course we can talk about it. By the way guys, we'll be relaunching our weekly newsletters soon, so feel free to check out our website and subscribe to our upcoming newsletter, which will be weekly. And also don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel for weekly videos on China Insights. Remember, this is Willene. See you next time.